What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the latest episode of the WarRoom podcast presented by the Sideline Journal. I'm your host, Mason Rather, and joining me today is my co-host, Liam Carr.
Hey, what a week. What a week. Great week. Trade deadline insane. Still repping 17. Brandon McManus. Brandon, you still got it. Stay with it. A lot of hate right now. We're working through it. We'll be back, man.
Yeah, crazy week. Y'all are going to get to see this on Wednesday this week, right after probably the craziest NFL trade deadline since 1990. It was the most trades since 1990, and that's what we've been saying on the Sideline Journal. This league is parity driven. We saw crazy upsets last week. We saw teams making massive moves, trading massive draft capital, and we're going to unpack all of that and more in this episode of the War Rooms. It's officially open.
This is the War Room presented by the Sideline Journal, where the film doesn't lie. Let's get to work.
So, Liam, these upsets around the week, I mean, we went and looked at a lot of games. There's a lot of favorites, but then we go look at what happened in the NFC North, and I mean, some crazy upsets happened. I mean, we'll go ahead and start with the Panthers and the Packers. What the heck happened?
I was hoping you were going to say Vikings Lions, but we can start there first. Just a terribly called game. They beat us on the ground. Rico Dowdle looks like him. The Panthers didn't beat us because Bryce Young, he didn't even throw over 100 yards. Had a 50% completion ratio, threw a pick too. The defense did their job, holding an NFL team to basically for most, below 10 to 13 points is insane to do, right? That's what you need to do. Our offense, I don't know what's going on. Matt LaFleur, I don't know what he's doing. We had 20 screen passes. One of those dumb play calls is what Tucker Kraft is out for the year now. He was pretty much our offensive spark right now whenever we needed something. Let Love go. Let him go. Get it in, throwing the ball on these corner routes, the goes, the stops, mid-range. It looks like Matt LaFleur is coaching a team that he doesn't have. That's what it looks like. It looks like Matt LaFleur is going out there and hoping and wanting his team to look like this, but he doesn't. We have a good team that can be an air raid team. I think we have great wide receivers down the block, especially with Christian Watson, but now we don't have Tucker Kraft, but we're getting Jaden Reed back, so we could play with a great air raid offense, and our running backs, Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson, are fantastic with a good O-line. Let's do something other than screens every time. Let Love throw in front of the first down and not behind the line of scrimmage. That's what happened, Mason.
Yeah, I mean, think about some of the names that you said there. I mean, let's act like in this picture that Tucker Kraft's healthy. That might be the deepest receiving room outside of what's happening in Indianapolis. I mean, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, Christian Watson, Josh Jacobs. Luke Musgrave is not bad as a backup tight end. You've got a top 5 O-line. And then Jordan Love, who I think everyone can agree is a good starting quarterback. So, I mean...
What are we paying him for?
Exactly.
He's getting paid $200 million to throw behind the line of scrimmage.
It's like he still has the training wheels on him, and it's just kind of...
That's what it looked like yesterday, Sunday.
It's just kind of wild. I mean, and that's how I think, as football coaches, and I saw this all the time in the profession, so many coaches coach not to lose and forget to coach to win. And that's just, unbiasedly, that's what I thought I watched with the Panthers and Packers. The Panthers were trying to win, and the Packers were busy trying not to lose, and so the Packers...
That's why Mike McCarthy lost his job, and that's why Matt LaFleur has gone from one of the most aggressive play callers in the NFL to the most conservative play caller.
It's crazy, but I mean, Panthers fans can rejoice. They're 5-4. Mix.
Hey, they got a good football team.
Hey, so good. Their podcast that quit is coming out of retirement because they're doing so well. So they're doing so.
And the players said, "Stay down there." No, that's hilarious.
It's so funny.
But hey, if you want to talk about the Panthers, we talked about them in the offseason quite fondly, but Rico has come out of nowhere. Chuba has been struggling. I don't know what's been going on, but Tet looks pretty legendary. And then their defense, Casey Horn is playing very well. And they got that other cornerback from the Raiders who's just balling too.
Yep, and then Derek Brown in the middle. But I mean, they're playing like how we thought that they were going to play. They're leaning on the run game. Their defense is starting to be stout. And I mean, honestly, Panthers fans aren't going to want to hear this. What's holding you back is Bryce Young. That is the main problem right now because T-Mac, Jalen Coker, they are creating separation. They are getting open. Rico Dowdle, I mean, you told me he's going to carry the ball 30 times a game for 150 plus, and Damian Lewis.
I believe he leads the NFC North.
Yes, and he hasn't even
The
started
NFC, my bad.
the NFC, and he hasn't even started the entire year. So, I
Yeah,
don't know,
three games.
The Panthers are a real interesting team to watch down the stretch because I mean, what are they going to do if they end up going 9-8? Are they going to justify Bryce Young and a big contract extension? But what if they're winning in spite of them? I think that's the story. Watching them is yes, they finally have a competitive team that's winning games, but what is Bryce Young's development?
Yeah, that is a topic of discussion for another time. That is a wild one.
Yeah, that's what we'll take a look at. But I mean, the other major upset that happened that I'm is going to keep the NFC North all the way wide open is somehow, some way, with J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings, they found a way to beat that team down in Detroit.
Yeah, and JJ McCarthy he had a great game, and it was kind of like that Bears game where when they need him the most, he shows up. But still, I mean, like watch the film. He had some very inaccurate passes, poor decisions. He's a rookie quarterback. He's played
Yep.
like 3 games in the past 3 years, something like that. But no, I thought that the Vikings defense, Brian Flores, I've said it a lot of times. Brian Flores is just a maniac. He is a scientist on the defense. He had Jared Goff's number all day. They were blitzing correctly. They really honed in on Jahmyr Gibbs, tried to test his pass blocking ability. There's some Twitter discourse online. Did he do good? Did he not? I thought Jahmyr Gibbs did what he's supposed to do, but it just didn't look good because of his size. And when those guys are blitzing and they have the momentum, it just didn't look good. But Mason, I know you're a big JJ McCarthy fan. How did you feel about that? And yeah, the North is wide open.
Yeah, I think the Vikings fans as a whole can breathe a sigh of relief and just not have the trepidation that they had of thinking he was softly benched. Because, I mean, everything at JJ McCarthy has always been the intangible. He's always shown up and found a way to win, and he's done that now in the NFL twice. It hasn't looked pretty, but you just got to trust the development's going to come, and they found a way to win what I think is still the most complete team in the NFC in the Lions. They found a way to beat them, and if you can do that, you can win playoff games. Now, it's still going to be a bumpy ride because I think what was impressive is he overcame, again, a very shaken up offensive line front for the Vikings. Christian Darrisaw will be in there for a quarter and then be out because he's hurt again, and then be limited all week, but then try to get out there and play again. It sucks for Ryan Kelly and the concussions, but he hasn't been stable at all. And Will Fries, I now understand why the Colts let him go because he's been an absolute bust. But anyways, the Vikings, good game for them. And what makes Brian Flores so interesting is they just came off of giving up 38 points to the Chargers, and Brian Flores was like, I've got to find a way to scheme pressure because my pass rushers suck. And he went and ISO'd the matchup that he could against a great front with the Lions. Yeah. He found ways to manufacture one-on-one blitz packages with Josh Metellus and Andrew Van Ginkel. Josh Metellus the safety and Andrew Van Ginkel the edge, and they found a way on Jahmyr Gibbs to really pressure Jared Goff the entire game. It leaves the NFC North wide open. I mean,
thank goodness we needed that.
Packers are still in first place because that ugly tie, and y'all did need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that upset happened, and now, I mean, this is going to kind of open up now to all the madness that's happened yesterday, but I mean, who saw the Steelers turning the clock back and putting a whooping on the Colts?
Yeah, that was, I think it should have been more because there was like 5 or 6 turnovers for the Colts that game. Just a really ugly game by them, but they're so good. They stayed in it. The Steelers should have blown it open, but 27-20, you leave with the dub. A-Rod can beat the number 1 team in the AFC. They remain at the top of the AFC North, but the Colts defense showed up finally. The Steelers defense showed up finally. Looked like the steel curtain. Indianapolis Colts, JT still looks great. Tyler Warren still looks great. Josh Downs still looks great. Just a super exciting game, but still, I think with that amount of turnovers, Steelers should have won by more, Mason.
I just think it was 24-10 in garbage time, and there were some fraudulent numbers put up. Because, I mean, 24-10, and the Steelers are now at the point where they're just trying to grind the clock out, and the Colts start putting up points. But, I mean, it was a really fluky game. I've seen a lot of people trying to say that they saw the ghost look in Daniel Jones, like he's going to, return back to his Giants days. But I I think the Colts obviously have a very high floor, and that is uncharacteristic of this team this year. And I really think the story of the game is the Steelers. The Steelers are now 5-3. The closest team is the Ravens at 3-5. They're now not really nipping at their heels like they would have been if they lost that game and were 4-4. 5-3 gives them a good cushion, and if they could beat the Colts, they could beat anybody in the AFC. And what is hilarious is the Steelers exclusively ran 13 personnel. They found a way to have 3 tight ends on the field at all time. And I watched Darnell Washington, 6'8", 300 pounds, receive the most targets from Aaron Rodgers, and it was hilarious to watch.
Hey, that's what we talked about in the offseason. 13 personnel with the Steelers, especially with Arthur Smith, and then when they got John Smith. I'm glad they saw that finally, and it looks like it worked. It got the job done. A-Rod didn't have that huge passing game that you'd expect. 203. He threw for 203, but still, he didn't turn the ball over. He got the job done. And that 13 personnel, the Steelers should run that every single game. Jalen Warren had 2 touchdowns and like 3 yards. It was like 37, but yeah, when you have those big bodies in, especially around that goal line, you can disguise any play action with a great run, and those guys are great run blockers. So they should use that every time when they get within like the 30-yard line.
Well, the Steelers are just interesting because it's by far the biggest offense in the league, pound for pound. And I mean, you're never going to see Aaron Rodgers probably throw for more than 250 yards because they do not have the receiving talent to do that. DK Metcalf has always been the 5 to 7 yard slant guy or run vertical and throw it. They don't have any sort of intermediate threat. They don't have any sort of what Jordan Love's great at, the 11 to 19 yards, which is a staple of a lot of passing attacks. They don't have a receiver-type body. Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson are not providing that, and that's why they have all these tight ends out there, and they can't run deep-level progressing passing concepts because the offensive line Aaron Rodgers is playing behind gives him the lowest amount of it's bottom 5 in pass protection time to throw, and it's why Aaron Rodgers is getting the ball out so quick. I think Aaron Rodgers is balling. If the defense can keep playing like this, I really do think that the Steelers might finally win their first playoff game since 2016.
Yeah, and turn back the clocks. Look at who's at the top of the AFC right now. What is it, like Colts, Steelers, Patriots, and Broncos?
Yeah, talk about the return of AFC royalty right there.
Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Ben Roethlisberger. Wild.
Ghosts of the past. The ghosts of the past have come back, man.
Yeah. Hey, you want to talk about the elephant in the room?
I don't know what's the elephant in the room.
Sauce Gardner to the Colts.
Crazy. Talking about a deadline shocker, guys. I mean, we only ever see crap like this in the NBA where it's rumors all the time and then out of nowhere 55 trades happen on trade deadline. You hardly ever see it in the NFL, and we got some crazy massive trades that went down.
Big trades too, yeah.
The Colts started the fireworks show off by giving up 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, which is just insane.
Yeah, who won? Who won right here? For me, it's kind of hard to tell because Sauce, he's a great corner, probably one of the best in the past 3 years. Has he seen a decline? Yes, but also cornerbacks don't get the stats that are fair enough for what their production actually is. I'm a big proponent of that. I'm going to keep on saying that till they finally get that. But, it's all about Indiana using him correctly. When he was in college at Cincinnati, he was so good because he played the short side of the field, all right? And he's really good at it. It's not taking anything away from him, but Sauce Gardner plays that short side of the field, and he did that for pretty much the first year when he was in the NFL with the Jets. Stuff happens. They realize this guy's really good. Let's have him everywhere. Let's have him against the one everywhere they go. And I think NFL coaches started to realize Sauce Gardner's not as good when he's on the other side, on the deep side, or maybe in a zone. So I think they kind of figured him out. He's still very good. He just has a natural ability about it. But yeah, if the Colts don't use him right, this trade's going to be a disaster. They gave up 2 firsts and Adonai Mitchell, who's not bad. Very young, talented. So the only way the Jets can mess this up, make this a loss, is if they go out and they draft 2 bums in the first round. If they go out and pick another Zach Wilson That'll be the only way they can lose this trade, Mason. Who do you think it is? Who won?
I just have to see this as an absolute win for the Jets. I mean, Sauce Gardner, 4 year, $120 million contract. By the time you're probably competing again, he's going to be 29, 30 years old, pushing out of his prime when that's when corners are out of their prime. He obviously wasn't a scheme fit in the current coach that you have because you weren't going to play him in the boundary, which is what he always was a boundary corner in a cover three scheme where he could zone turn and keep his eyes on the quarterback and use instincts to play the football. Instead, he's in this very multiple scheme Aaron Glenn likes to run where they run a lot of two high shell match coverage schemes where he's playing in the slot, he's playing to the field, they'll rotate him over to the boundary. I've seen him drop deep and be a pole runner all the way in Tampa 2 after lining up in the slot. He's playing completely out of position. It just wasn't going to work. And then the Jets didn't really want to trade him until they gave him 2 firsts, and I can already see how this happened. Well, then the Jets are like, well, okay, also give us Adonai Mitchell. And they're like, okay. And it finally happened because, I mean, I'm going to talk about Adonai Mitchell because it's the hidden piece in this trade people don't really want to talk about. Adonai Mitchell is an extremely talented, really good receiver. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", runs 4'3". He's shown ability. It's just that he was a little bit of a head case for the Colts, and the Colts are really deep at the receiving position. They could afford to get rid of him, but I mean, the Jets are not at all. Outside of Garrett Wilson, their best receiver is a 30-year-old Josh Reynolds. So,
Alan Lazard.
yeah, Alan Lazard. God, Packers legend right there. Aaron Rodgers got him rich.
Yeah.
But anyways, Adonai Mitchell, I think, is going to... Him and Garrett Wilson gives them a receiving duo they can build around for the next 4 or 5 years. And they have a really good offensive line. It's young.
Yeah.
If they can get the quarterback pick right, you can be happy about one side of the football, and they can then try to rebuild the defensive side. It's worrisome for the Colts. I like it a little bit just because they are going for it, and I like a team trying to capitalize on success and going for it. What scares me is they have now, doing this has made them decide that Daniel Jones is that dude and will be that dude for them and is their franchise quarterback. That's what that trade signals. And it's a 9-game sample size. It's been a lot. He's been pretty good outside of one game. He's had some good years, but all of us have seen too many late-night MetLife Giants games where this dude just turned it down. And you've now righted your entire career, the future of the organization, on Daniel Jones. That's what this trade tells me.
Hey, real quick, just open the vault. There's clips out there of did I not say it right? I thought it was Adonai. Is it Adonai Mitchell?
I think it's Adonai, but I think he goes by A.D. Mitchell.
Open the vault, though, because there's clips of him just demolishing Sauce Gardner in his route running. So, if he's doing that to Sauce Gardner, he's clearly got some talent. The big thing, he was only in the news this year. If you look him up, the first clip that you'll see is him fumbling the ball at the 1-yard line. And I think in that game that turned around the whole game to where they lost it. But still very talented. Now, if you want to talk about the Colts, I like that they're going all in. We saw it with the Buccaneers and we saw it with the Rams pretty much most recently. Those two teams saw their window and they just bought all in. They said, we don't care about the future. We care about right now. We'll worry about all that later. We're going to win the Super Bowl now. City's going to rejoice. We're going to have, we'll be etched in history forever. And we'll worry about the rest later. And so I like that they're going for it. They clearly have, they're looking around and saying, hey, we're the #1 team in the NFL. Our offense is looking great. Our defense needs a little bit of help. Mason, you and I talked about edge rushing is their weakness. I talked about how their corners are all just they're kind of average. They just do the right things most of the time. They don't have anything outstanding lockdown, but they don't have, any head cases in the secondary that you'd worry about every week, like Keyshawn Nixon. But no, they're great, and now they're even better. That secondary is pretty phenomenal. It's kind of like a secondary now, especially with Sauce Gardner, where you're like, we don't need an edge rush because we'll just lock them down for 7 seconds of play. I'm over exaggerating there, but you get the point. Yeah. But yeah, they're going for it. I love it. I wish more teams would do this when they see that. Kind of seeing the Patriots kind of going that way. I thought they were going to sign somebody at the deadline, that they were going to trade for somebody, but didn't see that. So the Colts, Mason, who won? Like right now, the Colts won. They got Sauce Gardner, great cornerback, and they're going for it. They're saying we're Super Bowl or bust right now because Daniel Jones at the end of the year is going to want a contract. Johnny T, I believe, is close to a contract, and the way he's playing, they're going to have to pay a veteran running back that they do not want to pay, but they're going to have to. Michael Pittman Jr., I believe they already got paid.
Yeah.
But Josh Downs is on the come up, so is Alec Pierce. So they definitely have guys that they got to pay later. So they're just saying, we'll worry about that. We're going to win the Super Bowl now. So I think the Colts won the trade right now.
Yeah, you can't hate it for them because, I mean, they see their window now, and their window is now. The most parity they have right now, with the playoffs starting today, the Kansas City Chiefs wouldn't be in it. Lamar Jackson wouldn't be in it. Joe Burrow wouldn't be in it. It is seriously for the Colts. If there's going to be the year, it is this year, and so you can respect it from that perspective. For me, what just scares me is they are putting all their pass rush on Liatu Latu, who is an ascending pass rusher, but I just don't think that he is that dude. And I could just totally be wrong, and Colts fans can scream at us in the comments, but I haven't seen it from Liatu that makes me think that he's a top 15 edge rusher. And that's what they're going to have from him to make this truthfully the success that it is. Because DeForest Buckner, he is still very solid. He's got the name cachet. He'll show up and make a play, but he is not the DeForest Buckner of 2 years ago that was a transcendent force on the defense. But I like it for the Colts. I think that they were already the clear favorites. This just cements them as the clear favorite. But kind of looking at some of the smaller trades before we get into the other massive trade that happened around the league. I mean, there's some moves around the edges that happened down in Philadelphia that's kind of scaring me about their defense.
A bunch.
They went and got Jair Alexander and Michael Carter for the secondary, and then they went and got Jalen Phillips and added him to that pass rush.
Yeah, Jalen Phillips, that is the big name right there. He's going to be the most productive out of the start because I don't think Jair Alexander is going to be that great. He played 2 games in Baltimore. Was the reason they lost one of those games. It was against the Bills. And then the second one, he just flat out played bad, and he's been a healthy scratch ever since, meaning they don't want to play him because he's such a liability. Now Philly can rehab him, and all of a sudden Jair is playing like he was back in like 2019, 2020 when he was arguably one of the best cornerbacks in the league, but I don't see that happening. And then Michael Carter, the second, going to help out that secondary as well. I don't know why they're stocking up so much in the secondary. That was an issue like 2 or 3 years ago, but I thought that they fixed that hole. But Philly's just stocking up on whoever. Zadarius Smith retired, and they bring back who came out of retirement.
Brandon Graham.
They bring in Graham, and now with Jalen Phillips, Mason, great edge rusher, and so this is going to be great for Philly.
Yeah, Jalen Phillips is an incredible pass rusher. He's a liability in run defense, which is why he became a rotational player for the Dolphins. But the Eagles just need him to pass rush. They got Jordan Phillips, Moro, Jamo, and the big guy Jalen Carter in the middle, and Zach Bond playing middle linebacker. They don't have to worry about the run defense. What this screams to me of why they made these trades in the secondary is Quinnen Mitchell is still dealing with injuries. He's not 100%. And Vic Fangio is sick of Keely Ringo playing slot. Like, he just can't stand it. And Michael Carter, the third, or the second. No, he is the second. He's a slot corner through and through. He's going to play in the slot. To me, I think Jair Alexander is purely, they gave up a conditional 7th round pick. It's purely, I think, just insurance for Quinnen Mitchell, just because in somehow, some way, they're going to be in the divisional round of the playoffs, and we're going to be like, oh, Jair Alexander's on the team. Oh, he has two pick sixes? What the heck? Like, it just screams to me something Howie Roseman would have done. But, right now in the NFC, it's a log jam of teams, but the three teams to me that I still have the most confidence in is the Rams, the Eagles, and you hate it, you don't agree with it, but the Lions. I just think they have the deepest rosters, and they've been successful over the past multitude of years, and I think that they're going to continue to emerge, and I think the trade deadline proves that, because, the Rams made a small trade. They got Roger McCreary, who's a young, good corner that's going to shore up some corner depth, but the other trade I wanted to talk about that happened that you kind of predicted this guy was going to get moved, Jacoby Myers is now a Jacksonville Jaguar.
Yeah, and Jacoby has been asking for a trade for a while, so we kind of saw it coming. And especially with the Raiders, they're going with Trey Tucker, and they have the TCU guy. I'm
Jack
Jack
Beck.
Beck.
Yeah.
Okay, I was forgetting what his first name was, but and then of course they have Brock Bowers, who they're going to use forever. And so yeah, Jacoby disgruntled. They're losing. Let's just try to get something out of him if he's going to be a bum. So they traded him to Jacksonville, the team they just lost to, which is kind of funny. But Jacksonville was looking for him because Travis Hunter is not. I don't know why they thought this, but they thought he'd be a much better wide receiver. But he's also dealing with some bad injuries right now. He's going to need some time. Who would have thought playing him that many snaps a game was not going to work out? So you can't. So now look at we kind of wasted. That'll be another video. But Travis Hunter's out. Brian Thomas Jr. has the yips, and he's also kind of dealing with an ankle sprain right now. They can get over that, but Jacksonville has this momentum that they don't want to stop, and Liam Cohen needs some wide receivers. So does Trevor Lawrence, of course, and so they went and got Jacoby Myers, who I think is a solid wide receiver. He's not going to be the one, but he's going to be a fantastic two. I think he's going to be the two that Travis Hunter was not. Travis Hunter should be bumped down to three, and he'll be a great wide receiver three. But if Brian Thomas Jr., I don't know what he needs. If Mason is the yips or something, he can be the one. Last year we were talking about, or this offseason we were talking about how Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors are just dominant. They're some of the most dominant wide receivers in the league, top 10 for sure. And Brian Thomas Jr. has been a nobody this season, man. So, what did you think about that little Jacksonville Raiders trade?
I just look at a key stat. Jacoby Myers has 183 receptions for 1893 yards and 24 touchdowns. And on all of those targets, he has one drop in the last 2 years. Meanwhile, in
He's solid.
Jacksonville, they've led the league in drops every year that Trevor Lawrence has been their starting quarterback. The
How many of
common
those passes are
and
bad?
the
Trevor
common
Lawrence passes.
denominator is Trevor Lawrence. Anyways, sure-handed receiver, very solid. He's gonna slide into that number two wide receiver role, and
Should.
for me, it just screams Liam Cohen's like, I'm going to have zero excuses for Trevor Lawrence, and he's going to figure it out or not, or I'm getting rid of him in the offseason because
That's
Trevor
pretty
Lawrence
genius.
has held the Jags back. He has been
Yeah.
a major cause for why they haven't been able to win. I watched Brian Thomas Jr. Yes, he's had some yips, but the dude went on a 5-game heater with Mac Jones, who's now balling in San Francisco, where he had 700 of his 1,200 receiving yards in a 5-game stretch to end the year. Went ballistic, and now that he has Trevor Lawrence back and now he's a non-factor, is it the quarterback or is it the receiver? The situation didn't really change. The only thing that changed was the common denominator in a lot of the problems. I've soured on Trevor Lawrence this year. I've always really thought that it was the situation around him. I thought he always oozed athleticism and elite traits. The man can't throw an accurate pass to save his life. He's got all the arm strength in the world. He will even make the right decision, but it will be a terrible throw. He just has no accuracy whatsoever. I don't know if he's been too guru'd in his quarterback mechanics, if the shoulder injuries caught up to him or what, but man, like, go back to the Jacoby Myers trade. This has to work. Like, the Jacks have to make the playoffs, and Brian Thomas Jr. has to start showing up, or I think Liam Cohen's going to get rid of Trevor Lawrence in the offseason.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he heavily suggests that. This is a great move by Jacksonville, now that you mentioned that, to like say like, look, Trevor, no excuses. All right, and if he keeps on just flat out sucking, they're gonna be like, we have to move on because, we finally have a pretty good team around him, so let's go for it. And so, yeah. But on my way up to dinner, this was funny. I thought I'd throw this in.
Yeah.
I saw this guy retweeted another guy, football guy, tweet. All right, and he said, OMG, this guy's tweeted 4 times since 2016. All right, clicked on it. Look with this guy's like 50 years old. He has 4 hate tweets on Trevor Lawrence from 2016. He's
Yes.
been
Oh
on
my God.
Twitter.
Yes, I saw this.
Hilarious. All right, and so like one of his biggest complaints, his most recent one is he says Trevor Lawrence looks at the ball as he throws it, and so there's a slow-mo clip of when Trevor Lawrence is throwing the ball. He's looking at the ball as soon as he releases it, which is like kind of a common problem among young high school quarterbacks. Very, not very common, but that's worked out through college and professional, and it's even most of the time worked out through high school ball. So it's just hilarious to see that this poor guy is just a D1 Trevor Lawrence hater. But um, yeah, but that trade, Jacoby Myers trade, is awesome. But Mason, if you want to stay in Jacksonville real quick, because this didn't happen today, it happened a little bit ago, flew under the radar. But Greg Newsome, the second or third, I didn't
Yeah.
write that down, my bad. Greg Newsome from the Cleveland Browns to Jacksonville. For me, I thought this was a pretty interesting trade because Jacksonville, I talked about this in the offseason, one of the worst secondaries of all time. It was pretty awful. And so they went and, they saw that and was like, all right, well, let's fix that. And Greg Newsome, I think, is a pretty it's an underrated move because he was very decent in Cleveland. Surprised they didn't try to go for Denzel Ward. I'm guessing Cleveland was asking for too much, so they were like, all right, let's go with Greg Newsome. And so I think this is going to work out perfectly for Jacksonville. And they had a huge upgrade during this NFL trade deadline season.
Yeah, I mean, like it was an interesting trade because they swapped their other high pay core, Tyson Campbell, and kind of made a swap. And a lot of people saw it a move around the margins, but I just don't think Tyson Campbell was ever really a scheme fit for the Jags. They saved a lot of money. They got younger at the position, and I think it's worked out for them. I think the Jags defense, but outside of a couple bad games, have really been a strength of the defense. And I mean, it's like you said, I think that they've improved and made some really good dramatic steps this year. They're 5-3. They're right where they want to be, fighting for the playoffs. Liam Cohen has really looked like a good head coach and has established a culture again. And I just go back to I think the question surrounding the team is Trevor Lawrence actually a franchise quarterback? And I think he's just that's a situation to monitor down there. But
Yeah,
Wrapping up
let's move
that
on.
wrapping up that conversation on the Jaguars, we get to talk about my favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. And before we talk about the crap that Jerry Jones did, I want to talk about the crap show that was, happened in Jerry's world last night. The historically the worst defense ever. I will say it every week. Yes, the Cardinals only scored 27 points. You know what their conversion rate was on third down? We got them to third and 10 plus 6 times. They went 6 for 6. If it's third and 10 plus, around the league on average, it's 23% conversion rate. They went 100%. The Cardinals were the only team to not have a scoring drive of more than 70 yards. They had back-to-back 75-yard touchdown drives. Jacoby Brissett played so good that the Cardinals are going to bench Kyler Murray over it. And it's all because of how bad the Cowboys defense is. So, because of that, finally Jerry Metz got off of his perks. He went out there and was like, I'm going to make some business happen. And he made some trades happen that I don't really know how I feel about him, but I'm just glad that he at least did something.
Yeah, super happy for Jacoby Brissett. I liked him for a while now. I'm not gonna say I'm a day one bandwagoner. I liked him in Cleveland when he was in front of Deshaun Watson when all that was going down, and I thought Jacoby was playing very efficient ball in Cleveland, throwing it to Amari and Njoku, and then they benched him and they started Deshaun because they were like, we can finally play him, and that offense just tanked immediately. And the entire time I was like, Jacoby Brissett was leading you to basically like a 500 record, but the
Yeah.
offense was kind of moving. And then Jacoby, he's just a backup to the NFL. He bounces around, lands in Arizona, and he's been playing very decent ball since. So I'm hoping that he continues that trend because Marvin Harrison Jr. had a career high. I think he had a career high 6 catches, which is pretty good, but that kind of stinks that he was like drafted like fourth overall, and
And that's
now
his
he's
career
getting
high
that.
in catches, yeah.
I don't know if it was catches or targets. I'm gonna look that up real quick while I'm talking, but yeah, and Trey McBride is balling too. So
Walter
the offense
Nolan,
is looking better.
yeah, and Walter
Yeah,
Nolan, their
yeah,
first round
yeah.
pick, made their debut, and all he did is made the 5-year, $90 million paid guard for the Cowboys, Tyler Smith, look like a bum, had 2 sacks and 5 QB pressures, and just worked the front of the Cowboys O line all dang night. And I mean, the Cardinals now they're 3-5. They can justify that they've only lost all of their games by less than 4 points to be a competitive football team and to keep this pushing and going. And I mean, it's a cool story for Jacoby Brissett. He's always been in the offensive tree of Stefanski, McDaniel, Kubiak, all grandfathered system of old Mike Shanahan and the Broncos back in the 90s. But Jacoby Brissett's always played in that system, and I mean, he's always had a little bit of success with the Patriots. He had a little bit of success with the Browns. That's how he ended up in Arizona, because Drew Petzing comes from that tree. And you can just see he has a really great command of the offense. He operates in structure. He's able to make some not crazy checks, but he can make some checks at the line, and he can go find the open receiver. But what's always limited Brissett is the physical of actually throwing the football, and we saw it. Like, it was a third down, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is wide open, and he just dirts the ball because he steps wrong. But really good positive step for Marvin Harrison, but I don't really think he's that guy. He just had, the gift of playing the Dallas Cowboys.
Don't hate on yourself too much, but yeah, I hope Jacoby has a little more than just a little bit of success. But yeah, the Cardinals are just, it's a game of inches, and they're just a couple inches away from being at the top of the NFC West. But yeah, the Cowboys, Dak is still trying his best, throwing it to everybody he can, and Jake Ferguson. Um, we gotta see more of him. I don't know why don't they should use him like Tucker Kraft with the Packers, in my opinion. But I don't know if you want to
Man,
get to the
I'm getting in the nitty gritty of it with the Cowboys. I mean, Cowboys Twitter wanted to burn Jake Ferguson alive because he had a holding penalty, a drop, a fumble. And I mean, the problem in Dallas right now, and before this trade deadline happened, there's a lot of hatred going on because Jerry Jones traded our surefire generational Hall of Fame player and then immediately paid some bums. He paid Deron Bland 4 years, $92 million, and I watched that man get literally put on his butt by Marvin Harrison Jr. Osa Odigizua got 4 years, $80 million with 58 guaranteed, and all we've done is trade now for two defensive tackles because he hasn't lived up to it. Tyler Smith got a massive contract and got worked by a rookie. We've spent first round picks on Tyler Booker and Tyler Guyton, and they've been pretty underwhelming. Terrence Steele, who's on a 5 year, $78 million contract, got flat out benched for undrafted rookie Nate Thomas because of how he was playing. So the only person living up to their contract is Dak Prescott, and everyone tries to say that the Cowboys can't pay everybody because of it. I've seen the Lions dish out $55 million to Jared Goff, $47 million to Aiden Hutchinson, $34 million to Jameson Williams, $29 million a year to Penei Sewell. You can find the money. So building off of that and all the hatred going around, now there's some optimism with the Cowboys because Jerry Jones made some pretty impactful trades. First, Logan Wilson for a conditional seventh rounder, which was just the appetizer. And then what finally blew up trade deadline and the Jets, Quinnen Williams is now a Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah, that's what I was working towards. I was wondering after all that hate, what would you get to? Would you be happy with this? And so, yeah, Quentin Williams, I mean, he is the man. We'll talk about the Jets maybe in a second, but
Yeah.
fantastic pickup for the Cowboys. My question, Mason, is like I thought their secondary was the problem now I thought Kenny Clark was doing fine. I don't watch the Cowboys that much though, but now are they going to play like a 4-3 because Kenny Clark, he's only like 29 or 30, and he's been in the NFL for like 10 years. And but Quentin Williams, he is definitely a younger upgrade to that D tackle. I know Jerry Jones wants to stop the run, but um, maybe they could have used an edge rusher or two, or I don't know, Mason. You're the Cowboy guy. You help me out here because for me, like Quentin Williams is fantastic. Every team in the NFL would want Quentin Williams, but to me, it was like, was that the Cowboys' biggest need?
Yeah, so looking at the Cowboys defense, it's very interesting what's going on here. You have three defensive tackles all making 20 million plus this year. Unfortunately, Kenny Clark will be 30 in the offseason with no guaranteed money left on his contract. It's either going to get restructured, cut, or changed. He won't be here. But for this season alone, they got the cap space to do it, and now they've got three really good interior defensive tackles. Demarion Overshone, who was playing at a legitimate Pro Bowl level last year before he tore his knee up, is coming back off an injury. They traded for Logan Wilson. Now you've got an interior front of three really good defensive tackles. You've got Logan Wilson, you've got Demarion Overshone, Maurice Liafu is coming off his injury as well. You've got Shamar Jones. Yeah, Shamar Jones, a young rookie linebacker that's athletic and play that Sam strong side linebacker position. And you've got a really good interior on paper defense that we're going to finally see Can they actually stop the run, or is it Matt Eberflus? Because I think that's what Matt's been saying is he just doesn't have it. And Jerry's like, well, fine. Now you have no excuse. And I don't think they'll have an excuse not to stop the run because of the moves they made. On the edge, Donovan Ezeraku has been a development. He is now leads all rookies in pressures. He's third in sacks out of rookies. He's developing into an edge rusher. He's not Micah Parsons. He's not even really... He can't start on all 3 downs, but he is finding ways to impact the game and provide pressure. You add Quinnen Williams to that, who's going to take double teams constantly, and because Quinnen Williams is an elite pass rushing defensive tackle, I think the pass rush is solved. What's scary though is what you alluded to. The secondary, it's I don't have really any words I can really say on a podcast about it. It is not good. It's the worst secondary in football. Deron Bland is a very overpaid, expensive nickel back quarter. He can't cover on the outside. We saw it happen last night against Marvin Harrison Jr. They're hoping that Siobhan Revel, this rookie corner we took in the 3rd round that has some talent, is going to come and save the secondary and play on the outside. And Malik Hooker is getting healthy again. Donovan Wilson is, and they're going to come in and play safety. But the secondary still scares me, Liam. I mean, I like the trade because of how young and how great Quinnen Williams is, and his timeline lines up with Dak Prescott. But the secondary still, it might be the worst in football.
Well, we'll see what Jerry does with those 2 first-round picks. So who's saying we can't go out and get a guy now? We'll see what he does with those picks in the draft with corners, but I think he definitely needs somebody now. But yeah, I don't want to hate too much because like Quinnen Williams, fantastic pickup. He's gonna produce right away. But and then Logan Wilson, to me, I don't know how I feel about that because I want to say like, yeah, that's an upgrade, but it's like, he's on the worst. He was a captain on the worst defense in the league.
I promise you.
He got benched, and now he's...
If you watch the cut-ups of Kenneth Murray that I've watched, I promise you...
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair point.
I truthfully believe that... I'm not being serious here, but I truthfully believe sometimes I could put on football pads and be in the right spot as opposed to Kenneth Murray. Because Kenneth Murray always found a way to be in the wrong gap every single time or busted coverage. It's just, anyways.
Yeah, so like Logan Wilson, all he has to do, he's a professional football player. He'll be good. All he has to do is hit the right gap.
It's a stabilizing
every
presence
other time, and he'll be better than Kenneth.
Yes.
And that's probably what you need for that defense right now. Just stabilize it. Don't try to overshoot like maybe Kenneth Murray was doing. Just do what you're told, and we'll see what he brings. But hey, is there anything else you want to talk about before moving on?
I mean, because I want your perspective on this because I have my Cowboys blinders on. But I mean, what this trade is Jerry Jones mentioned a couple years ago of, this is our all-in year, and it wasn't really. He's made next year the all-in year for the Cowboys because what this trade allows them to do is it's going to free up enough cap while having talent on defense to tag George Pickens, franchise tag him, sign Javonte Williams, keep the offensive nucleus together, draft defensive players with 2 first-round picks because that's what the trade did, left their 2 first-rounders, and it's pushed it to where they're giving up their first-round pick in 2027. Dak Prescott's final contract here is 2026, and I just look at it as this year is now a wash. They hope they're competitive, but they made this trade for next year.
Yeah, that has to be what it looks like. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they give up the Dallas first-round pick this year to the Jets?
No, so the trade is none of the first-round picks this year. They gave up a second-round pick this year. And next year, now they can't trade those picks because it's the best of the 2. So, let's say the Cowboys go 11-5 and the Packers go 10-6. They get the Packers first-round pick. More likely, the Packers will go 12-5 and the Cowboys will go 7-10 and will get the Cowboys pick. But that's the trade they made. So they can't trade the first-round picks next year. They still can in 26. But it's made it to where they could be the worst team in football in 27. They're giving up their own first-round picks. They have to be good, which just makes me think they don't really care now about this year. But 2026, 27 offseason, they're going all in.
That's what you have to keep on telling yourself, and it should happen because I mean this year was disappointing. And Mason, you tell me you're a Cowboys fan. Was it disappointing starting from that day the Micah Parsons trade went down? Because like just since then we knew kind of a loss to the Eagles might have been coming. They played that game fantastic. After that rain delay, both teams stalled out. So it was kind of whoever was up then. I think it could have been a totally different game.
Yeah, I
But then,
mean,
yeah, the loss.
sorry, you asked me
You
a
go.
question there. I was going to answer is like, when did
Sure.
you were like a little disheartened with it or knew this season was a loss? I go all the way back to when we got blown out in our home stadium in the playoffs in 2023. That was our best roster we were ever going to have with the amount of all pro and Pro Bowl and veteran talent that we had. It was the best roster we could ever have. And we went and got blown out at home to Jordan Love starting his first playoff game on the road. I was so disheartened, and I said on Twitter, and everyone I could tell, that's it. The Cowboys are never going to win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. That was it. That was the end of the window. And since then, I felt completely vindicated. Our roster has only gotten worse, and we've seen a slower and slower erosion of it. And this trade, what it does is it's just enough to keep me in it, to be like, I can't quit on the team. And that's
That's what Jerry
exactly what
does.
Jerry wants. That's what he
Yeah.
wants. So I don't know, man. I'm lukewarm on it. I'm honestly more excited for the other side of the trade and the New York Jets.
Dude, I'd love to talk about that because for me, it's Mason, what are they doing? Um, Trading away Sauce and Quinnen, and we thought Brees was gonna go, and we thought Garrett Wilson was on the market. That was just insane that they got rid of at least like two of the four young guys that we thought could have been gone. And so to me, it's like, uh, Mason, you can go after this, but like they have to have a vision now, right? Because they had young talent. It's not like they had a bunch of vets. They had a bunch of young talent, and they traded away two of the big four for the young talent, in my opinion. And now what? They have a bunch of first round picks. So to Mason, it's like they have to have a vision. Aaron Glenn and the GM have to say, here we go. This is the 4 year process, which is what it's going to be. That's like all those bad teams should have a 4 year process. But Mason, I heard some things about you and Woody Allen. You hate him. What's going to happen with this process?
Yeah, I just Woody Johnson, worst owner, and him and the Bengals and the Titans owner are like fighting at a dog match for who's the worst owner of football from just an organizational standpoint. But anyways, in 2021, the Jets drafted Quinnen Williams with the sixth overall pick and Elijah Vera Tucker. Great picks. In 2022, they followed that up with Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, and Brees Hall. Incredible picks, foundation for an incredible roster. And this trade today destroyed that roster. They said they're not going to win with it, and we're going to build for the future. And the only way that it's going to work is if Aaron Glenn and Magoni, the GM, have now received enough job security, they're going to make those draft picks. Because if they do get to make those draft picks, they have some really great draft capital. They have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds next year and 3 first round picks in 2027. So that's 7 total top 60 players out of a draft class they're going to be able to draft in the next 2 years. That's enough to completely overhaul and reshape a team and get them all managed on the same cap. But it all comes down to what's plagued the Jets since all the way back in 1960. They haven't found a quarterback. They never have. They've always won in spite of one. Will they find a quarterback? This gives them the freedom and leverage to try to trade and maneuver for one. But that's just what it comes down to. But I just like the value that they got for the trades that they made, because Quinnen Williams is 27 on an expensive contract. By the time that they might be good again, he would be 30 and need a new highly expensive contract. They didn't do what the Browns did with Myles Garrett. They actually freed him. And it's a Sauce Gardner. They didn't want to get rid of him, but they got an offer they couldn't refuse. And I mean, I think that Brees Hall won't be a Jet after this year, but that offense, they have a great young tackle duo. They've got Joe Tippmann at center, which is incredibly good. Mason Taylor looks like a very good starting tight end. Garrett Wilson's still there.
Yeah.
You throw in Adonai Mitchell, and you can honestly say the only thing that they're missing on offense now will be a quarterback. because they don't have one, and they have the draft capital now to go find one. And I'm glad they didn't choose stagnation. I'm glad that they chose to make a move.
Yeah, they're like 1-7 right now. I forget what happened last week with this whole ESPN Disney thing. Football, I missed out on a ton, but um, yeah, I'm glad they made some moves. They're working towards the future. Like I said, they looks like they have the vision, but like now we gotta they have to hit on at least they have like 7 first and second round picks in the next 2 years. They have to hit on 3 of them. And if you get any more than 3, then you're just adding up profit. Then you're netting profit. And you'd love to hit every single one of those, right? But look at the first rounders this year from the start. I mean, Shamar Stewart has been a bum for the Bengals, and he was all offseason complaining about how he's not going to get paid. So just saying you have a first round pick doesn't mean, holy cow, we're going to hit the jackpot. You have to hit on them. And I think the Jets recently have been doing very good, Mason. You mentioned, I think when we were off air, about how the general manager, uh, in that draft class that drafted the amazing Jets. Woody Johnson got rid of him because he didn't like him. He wasn't drafting right. Look at the players. They stink. You drafted Zach Wilson, but you also drafted Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams and Garrett Wilson. Get out of here. And so they have to stick with this plan. They drafted, I'm drawing a blank on his name. His name's kind of tough. The lineman out of Mizzou from this year,
Armand Mimbu.
he's been pretty good so far.
Yeah.
Very serviceable. And so, the Jets definitely have a good start. If their franchise was starting today, you'd be disappointed. But look at their draft picks and look at some of that young talent they have. Braylon Allen, Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor's looking pretty good. You'd say, all right, we'll be good in a couple of years. So they just have to stick with it. Woody Johnson has to be patient. Woody Johnson actually has to leave, and then the next owner has to be patient with the GM and Aaron Glenn, because we know that they can have success. The Jets are cursed, maybe, but it's probably mainly from Woody Johnson. But
I would 100% agree. It's the same curse as over the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones is the curse on the Dallas Cowboys. Woody Johnson's the curse.
With the Panthers, it was that is that owner still there? But
he is, but I mean, you're thinking maybe Dan Schneider not Dan Schneider,
Washington.
but
Yeah.
Schneider
No, it was
for Washington. But yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like you said there. I mean, with the Jets, it's just it sucks because they built a pretty good team with the old GM, and they've had to strip it all down because of an impatient owner. And I just hope for Jets fans that they are patient and they're actually able to see the fruition of this trade deadline, because it could be an exciting time. It gives you a direction, and I think that's what they were craving, was direction.
Yeah, hey, it's not all doom and gloom, because they did get A.D. Mitchell, who's a solid young guy, and then they also got John Mitch III out of Houston. He's not super exciting. He had that battle with cancer, but he's still a solid wide receiver when he's been decent for them. So we'll see what he does in New York.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of wraps up the fireworks of the NFL trade deadline. I'm trying to remember any crazy ones that happened. I mean, a move around the margins happened with
Rashid
Shaheed to the Seahawks was pretty big. I was talking to some of my people of just like that are not really. They didn't understand why the Seahawks made the move, and they think that it's going to take away target share from JSN. But I mean, Raheem Shaheed is an explosive 4 target a game dude, going to take the top off the defense. He was explosive in QBX offense last year. I love the move for the Seahawks, and I mean, we saw them put a whooping on Sunday Night Football on the Commanders, and I mean, they look incredible.
It's like the day after, 2 days after the Seahawks whooped the Commanders. They were like, not enough.
We need more.
Let's get some more. Yeah. And so this is an element to their game that they don't have. Now, Torrey Horton looks like he was coming along to be that guy, but they thought, we'll say that for another day. Let's get Rashid Shaheed. He's also like a punt returner too, right?
Yep.
Kick returner. So he's a different element to the Seahawks. He's not just another wide receiver. He's a different schemed wide receiver that Seahawks would love to have, and now they got a solid, talented guy, and he was kind of cheap, so good for them.
It's a big playmaker that they've just added to an explosive offense. I would have loved to see them get, O-line help, but, no love for the big boys up front.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and I mean, so that's kind of an NFL trade deadline, and it's pretty cool to see entire league where basically the 5-4 Chiefs and the 5-3 Bears,
5-4.
the 5-4 Chiefs, the league favorite Chiefs that we've heard about for 3 weeks about how they're going to crash everything.
Yeah.
Well, 5-4 Chiefs and 5-3 Bears, if the playoffs started today, would not be in it, and I think that is great for the league.
Yeah, good parody. I'm a fan of it. It really hurts me because now, my favorite team means that they're stressing me out every week. But look at the Colts. There is no best right now in the NFL. There's just better. So I'm a fan of it. We've seen some of those worst teams, but look at the 5-4 Panthers and the 5-4 Chiefs too. We'll see what happens, and it'll probably be a super exciting end of the year. Week 18, when most teams when most of those like number 1 teams rest their starters, number 2 teams. This year might be a year where we play 18 full weeks just to make the playoffs. So I'm super hyped for it.
I think we can leave it there. What you said, this year there's not the best, there's just better. There's a better team out there, and it can be any given Sunday. But
yeah.
Anyways, guys, really appreciate y'all tuning into this episode. If there's something that y'all missed that we didn't cover, you drop it down below and let us know. And
DM
really
us.
Appreciate y'all riding with us. DM us. There's an email in the YouTube description that we'd love to throw up your takes on there. Add us on Twitter. Shout us out on Instagram on the story that we post sometimes about the show, and maybe your take will get featured on the War Room.
Appreciate the support.
Yep. Peace out, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
See you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the WarRoom podcast presented by the Sideline Journal. If you haven't yet, consider subscribing to the show. We crossed 300 subscribers recently, and we're on the road now to 400. As the NFL season wears on, we goes into the second half of the season. We're finally starting to see the playoff picture shape up. Make sure you tune in with the WarRoom, because we're going to break it down and discussing it with you along the way. And, here in the next couple weeks, we're going to take a wider look at the NFL draft coming up, maybe break into some college prospects that maybe aren't on your radar yet. Anyways, really appreciate y'all sticking with us, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.